Howdy, 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 and welcome to another episode of the DirtInfo Podcast. I'm Josh. One of these sides is Carter, and then down below there, we've got our good friend Julian. Thanks for joining us. Just want to throw out there right away. We are available on Spotify and YouTube as well. And also, if you've been watching to like two or three people who've been watching this whole thing, like if you could hit a like down there or a subscribe if you're on YouTube or wherever you're catching it. Just helps us keep this moving forward. So we'd really appreciate that. But Julian, I noticed the festive background. We've changed locales. Is that um, for being in the holiday spirit, I suppose that's what I'm trying to say.
Well, I figured I'd use my nice chair that I have sitting over here instead of the couch. And I got a new little mini desk that rolls. So set up on that, move over here, get in the holiday spirit with the tree. Yeah,
Look
and
at
front of
that.
a nice open window because my house filled with smoke this morning, and so little fresher air on this side of the house.
I don't mean to laugh. I know the story, but do you want to give us a quick synop of how
He
that
was he
Yeah,
happened?
was frying his first egg. That's what happened.
no,
That
that
was
went
this
well.
weekend.
I know.
I've done three now, by the way, and they were all fine.
Look at
But
you.
I had some AC problems, so the maintenance came to fix it and fixed the AC, which was simple, but found that there was a heat issue, and so he fixed it and then turned it on. And the previous tenants, I guess it was never cleaned out, so there's usually like a little bit of a smell or smoke from all the from the dust, but there was so much dust that it was shooting out uh, burning embers of dust out of the vent, which then filled the entire apartment with smoke. And yeah, so I went out to Home Depot, bought like 10 of those little air freshener canisters, and I have a dryer sheet taped to my vent to get a little better smell when windows open. Uh, so it
Well,
was kind of an eventful morning. That's
all right. Well, you're persevering to get this recorded today, so right on. Um, but sort of in the Christmas spirit, I guess, if you will, I think today's topic we were going to talk about some of our favorite races over the course of this past year. And so I think I'll go first. Uh, and mine was the spooky showdown at Luxy Raceway
Ryan
this past
Ryan gets naming credits for that, by the way. Our friend
yeah,
Ryan, he did name that.
yeah. He was one of those three I was talking about before who watches the whole thing through. So, hi Ryan. But yeah, so Ryan named it. That's Carter's home track, by the way. So Sherry and I, or old gal as she's known in some of the writings, we made the trek all the way out to Luxembourg, Wisconsin, there and back in one day. It was about 5-ish hours both directions. Shout out to Sherry for taking us a good chunk of the way home while I kind of rested, and then I finished the last leg off. But anyway, I digress. It was a crazy road trip that we pulled off in one day. But the reason it's most meaningful to me is just obviously because my friends were there. Ryan was there, and then Carter obviously was there, it being his home track. And then I also met Ryan's dad, and I regretfully am spacing on his name.
So am
So
I.
anyway,
So I know
sorry,
his name
Ryan's
and I cannot
dad.
remember it.
I know I put you on the spot. Anyway, so Sherry and I rolled into town. We met the three of them at a place called Joe Rower's, and we had an Eastern Wisconsin style cheeseburger and fries, and then we also had like cheese curds and the chili, and that was all super good. That was good. I think shout out to to Carter's mom on the recommendation for that one.
No, that was all
No,
me. I just wanted
that
to
was
go
all
there.
you.
I haven't been there in a while.
My bad. I misattributed it. That was my bad. Um, but yeah, it was super good. We had a ton of fun there, and then we obviously headed over to the track, and then when we got to the track, they were doing the track or treat, so that was kind of fun. Um, got to see all the kids dressed up in costumes, and all five of us, I think, or all four of us, five of us, four of us, I can't count. Me, you, Ryan, and Sherry walked around and did all that. Um, took some pictures. I think even one of my pictures ended up on the Luxy Raceway Facebook page, so help them get some pictures out for that and stuff. So that was kind of neat. And then the racing was super fun. Um, I really don't remember much of who won. I remember who won the mod feature. That's why I wore Benji's shirt today. Benji won the mod feature. And Carter made sure to post the results on all the various various social medias about that. But anyway, so after the race, we actually went down and had a chance to meet Benji again. I'd actually met him at the Big Deal as well, on a recommendation of Carter. Um, so I talked to Benji at the Big Deal. Got a chance to talk to him again at Luxy, and then also Dirt Info. So kind of us collectively, we sponsored the hard charger of the modified feature for that race. And a gentleman by the name of Travis Hansen won that. And incidentally enough, he was pitted right next to Benji, so that made that super easy. So went down, got a picture with him. I chatted with him for quite a while, just kind of about his racing, his results, kind of how his race team operated and all that. So it was a super neat conversation. I enjoyed my time getting to meet him. And then Julian also contributed because you were the one that made the graphic for that we put out. You don't
Yeah.
even remember, but you did. I want to make
I
sure
was
to give you credit for that.
like the thing I was gonna say is I wasn't there, so that was
No,
but I did get a Koi Valise hero card out of that, did I not?
you
Mhm.
did.
And I
You
think I got a
absolutely did.
Benji Lacrosse t-shirt out of that as well. So
Hmm.
that kind of made up for it.
Yeah, even when you weren't there, we made sure you were included.
I was
So
there in spirit.
Is that
I don't
where you got the Benji shirt from, or did I get that before that?
oh, I think you might have got that before, now that
I
I
thought
think
it
about it.
shipped at the same I thought it shipped at the same time, didn't it?
No.
No, I
No,
think
you know my shipping turnaround times. Those hats are still over there.
I know what the Koi Valise came from my package with my Brandon Davis shirt.
In your Shane shirt.
Yes. My
Yep.
Shane Nebraska shirt. So okay,
I
I
think I
got it
got that
mixed up, but
Brandon
I
Davis
did get a
shirt in
Koi
like
Valise
May.
hero card of that, and so
Hmm.
that was enough for me.
Yeah, right on. No,
you
so
didn't even
that was super fun.
you didn't mention, Josh, that you almost drove 5 hours and saw no racing with the weather
There was a
that day.
there was a chance. I was bold on that one. I was very bold. It did rain actually, right after the track or treat and before the racing started. It rained and they ended up rolling it right in. I mean, think that's it's not the first IMCA show I've seen, but it's like the first real IMCA show I've seen. And I mean, that
Oh,
rain came in. They had all cars to the track. We're packing this in. Let's go. We're getting her in. And they did. They packed her right in and they just went racing and they just didn't stop racing until it was over.
technically it wasn't an IMCA show because they're not sanctioned, but it was IMCA. Pretty much every single car was IMCA legal, except for the Hornets. Some of your Wasota Hornets made the trip over to race
So
too.
Josh still hasn't seen a real IMCA show.
Yeah. That's as close as I've gotten. I mean, Princeton was IMCA for a hot minute and I've went there, but I don't think that quite operated the same.
I've even seen a real IMCA show, Josh.
Well, I guess I can put it on my to-do list. But anyway, that was my first story, and honestly, it was most meaningful just because of who was there and what was done, and that'll probably be a theme for my other two as well. But anyway, with that one, I'm gonna kick it over to Carter.
Pointed the wrong way for me, but yes.
It's the right way for me.
Mine will also be not really the racy necessarily, but just like because I went with someone or whatever. And I was gonna do this one last, but I guess I'll do it first. You went to my home track, and I earlier in the year went. I believe Ogilvy's your closest track, correct?
Yep,
Yeah. So I
yep,
went to
that's my
Ogilvy
home track.
with Ryan, who we mentioned was at Luxembourg. So funny enough, originally we had no plans of going to Ogilvy that day. The plan was to go to
Hmm.
Benton County Speedway in Vinton, Iowa. For they had like a IMCA mod special, and that got rained out. So then I messaged Ryan. I think it was like 11 o'clock midnight Saturday night, and went there on a Sunday to Ogilvy. And I said, hey, if Vinton cancels, do you want to go to Ogilvy instead? Because we were already driving like 5 hours, so we might as well just go an extra half hour to see some racing that day. And then Vinton canceled at like 8 a.m. And then I was like, all right, I guess we're going to Ogilvy. And then I think I texted you or something. It was like, hey, we're gonna be there. And then I picked up Ryan. We drove out to where do we go eat?
We went to the Brass Rail, which is my hot spot every time I stop on the way.
Yeah, so we drove like 5 hours, 5.5 hours there. 8. I don't even remember what I got when I was there. I I know the
I
coleslaw
do.
was good. That's the one thing I remember is the coleslaw was good. I remember that.
No, the coleslaw is really good there. I remember you got chicken tenders. You and Ryan both got chicken
Huh?
tenders, and I was
Did
like,
I get chicken tenders?
we,
I don't think
yeah,
I did. I know
I
Ryan
think
did.
you did.
I don't
I mean, I could be wrong, but I could have swore because I was like, let's go there. They have the best roasted chicken, and then either of you got roasted chicken.
Coleslaw
gonna
is
bother.
disgusting. For one.
The the
No, I like
coleslaw is
coleslaw.
banging.
I like
Number
coleslaw.
2, Josh, who won the modified race?
Ryan Gerke.
That's
We were
because I
talking
told
about
him
this
that.
earlier, and Josh could not remember who won the modified race.
I couldn't. I honestly couldn't. I just remember the part I remember is Ryan, and I'm kind of telling part of the story while try to look something up, but um Ryan, like the race finished and he's like, oh my God, that was like one of the best races I had ever seen. I can't, who won? That was awesome. And we're like, oh, the winner was gone. But it was a hell of a battle for like second through sixth. Like for the last 10, 12 laps, they were just all throwing sliders. It was good, but Ryan lost the leader.
And
I was
once
trying to
again,
look
I
up.
was not there.
No, you're a bit too far. It would have been a long drive for you.
Yeah, yeah.
I think I sent out the SpongeBob meme with Squidward watching
Oh,
SpongeBob and Patrick play
yes.
Hmm.
outside. I
Yeah.
was trying to find it, but I couldn't find it on my phone. That's how it
Well,
felt.
then,
Every time you guys get a races together, I feel like Squidward staring out the window.
Especially because
mm,
like if it's me, Josh, Ryan, then and if Brad's busy, you got nobody to even talk to in Discord. You're just all alone.
server's dead.
Just talking to myself about
Uh,
racing, spamming Twitter,
uh,
knowing
that's
everyone
how
else.
he ends up going down the rabbit hole of like UK dock car racing, though, is in those moments.
I always need racing to watch, so
Yeah,
I'll always
but
figure out more racing.
yeah. But anyway, Carter, anything else you wanted to add about Ogilvy?
I think I ordered the Philly cheesesteak, by the way. I'm pretty sure
Okay,
that's
I'll
what I
stand
got.
corrected.
Because I don't think I would have ordered chicken strips, but I do remember too.
Eh,
I remember that mod feature, and the only other thing I remember was the mod fours were last. I'm pretty sure they were last, or if they're either last or second to last.
Hornets,
Hornets were mod fours were
Mod
before
4s,
them, right?
I think so.
Because there was like nobody there, and then down the front straightaway, somebody just went barrel rolling in the mod four. I just remember that.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
we stayed for every race. I know that's not normal for you, Josh, but
Hey.
not you disrespect the Hornets and whatnot. But if I drove that
Just-
far, I wasn't leaving until we were done.
What's an extra 45 minutes? No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But yeah, no, we also met Racing Vagabond. We met someone at the track,
Yes, he was
if
there as
you'll
well.
recall. Yep. Yep. So I think that was the first time you had ever met someone at the track. Like you've gone to the track and you know people at the track, but you've not actually met anyone at the track, right? You don't make tons of friends at the track.
I met Ryan at the track.
Oh, I stand corrected.
That's pretty much the only other person. I've never really talked to Ryan, and then I just saw him at Outagamie Speedway one day. I was like, "Hey, are you Ryan?" And he was like,
Yeah,
"Yeah." And then now we go to pretty much every race together. So, but that's pretty
that's
much
awesome.
all I got from Ogilvy. Guess we'll go to Julian next, who I can't imagine will be included in your stories. So,
Yeah, I don't have anybody to include in this story, but it is a modified race. So this was actually, let's see, it was my 5th race of the year, and this was in early March. So obviously, I have a little bit better weather. But this was the Smart Modified Tour race at Florence Motor Speedway in Florence, South Carolina, which actually it's actually not in Florence, South Carolina, but whatever.
But it's
Um,
just named that.
yeah, I feel like there's a lot of
Nearish.
tracks like that. I feel like it
Hmm.
maybe something to do with like expansion or something like that. But yeah, so that was the second like Northeast big block style tour modified race I'd ever seen. The previous one was November that I saw at North Wilkesboro Speedway that Matt Hirschman won for the Whelen Modified Tour. So I couldn't pass up going to Florence, especially how Florence races with, it's no grip, 2 lanes basically. And Matt Hirschman came to that, and Matt Hirschman being Matt Hirschman, I expected him to lead pretty much every lap and win the race. I even said as such before the race. But it turns out that Carson Lofton actually passed Matt Hirschman on a late restart, ended up winning his first ever modified race. And Carson, if you don't know who he is, he's the son of former NASCAR, I believe, Truck Series driver Brian Lofton. And only 15, I believe he's 15 years old, 15, 16 years old. And next season, he's actually going to run the Cars Tour, as far as I know. I can't remember the team he's going to race for. That was a lot of fun to go to that. I went with my dad, who's now living overseas, so it was good to go to another race with him. We went to a bunch of races growing up, so that was fun. And then
Okay.
his buddy, who never went to a bunch of races, ex-military guy, and so he had a good time too. I did not stay till the end. I wanted to stay for the Sportsman mod feature, but I think they had like 8, and it kind of took a while, and it was also kind of cold. And then there, then the big problem at Florence is there's a lot of parking, but it's not like deep, so you get blocked in a lot.
Wow.
Had to beat
Yeah.
traffic. Had to
And we
beat
ended up
traffic. I
getting
get it. Totally makes sense.
we ended up getting blocked in for a little bit, so I was driving back and forth to try to figure out how to get out. But yeah, that was fun. Get back to another modified race.
Usually,
Oh,
if you leave when the lower divisions, if you leave after the lower divisions, there's usually less cars in the parking lot. You could have avoided getting blocked in, maybe. At least by me.
right?
If you stay for the 4-cylinder feature, there's always the parking lot's empty by the time you get out there.
Yeah, it's
Pretty
just
sure
your
there
car.
were only like 2 features that day or something.
Oh yeah, it's a little different then. But
Yeah.
if it's like a weekly show situation, everyone
Well,
leaves by me after the mods.
I wanted to stay for the Sportsman modified feature, but I think it was like 60 or 70 laps, and it was like 8 cars or something.
Oh yeah, that's
It wasn't.
and
I,
it's
I
on
mean, I've
asphalt,
seen
so
good
I
races
understand
with
it.
the low amount of cars.
What was that?
Can't talk crap about asphalt racing,
2 S's.
huh?
2 S's. 2 of them. Anywho, does that mean it's my turn?
Yes.
Unfortunately,
All right. My next one is actually at Ogilvy, so it is my home track. But it was somewhat of a biggish show. It was rescheduled once, maybe twice. It was the XR Mega Million show. Um, but again, kind of what sticks out to me about that was just so it was me and Sherry Ogal. She's with me almost 100% of the time, not even almost 100% of the time. But so for this one, we were gonna head up there, and I offered up the boys the opportunity to come. And my youngest Colton decided that he was gonna come along. My oldest Xavier decided to stay home. Um, and so he came with us. He came early. We did the all access passes, as I call them. So anyway, we got the pit pass and we went back and we walked around, saw cars, did the normal social media picture taking stuff. Tried to talk to a few drivers, didn't bump into many. Um, but anyway, so and ended up watching the show. Decent show. Bobby won. I don't remember much of the racing. I know we were rooting for Shane more than just about anybody to win, and um, he actually factors in a little bit later. But so anyway, it was a decent enough show, but we went down into the pits afterwards, and that's kind of what makes it stick out to me. So B-Shep was there, and Colton's a big fan of B-Shep. Um, one might say they have similarities in stature. So, um, but he's a big B-Shep fan. Colton wears number 5 in all of his sports. Shepard's obviously B5, and so um, always been kind of a bit of a fan. So anyway, B-Shep was down there, and we went down, and B-Shep was kind of like working on his car and stuff, and Colton was kind of being shy. And I was like, it's okay, bud. Like you can just kind of like walk up there, whatever. But anyway, Bishop saw him and was like, "Hey, buddy, how's it going?" He comes over, and I think um, ended up signing a hero card, or maybe it just ran out or whatever. But anyway, he interacted with Colton, signed something. We took a picture with him. So Colton, there's a picture of him in Colton. I'll have Carter edit it up here, and you can maybe see what I was talking about. Um, but yeah, so then and we went and talked to Shane, and we've seen Shane race a lot, maybe exchanged, some words here and there, but never had like a big conversation with him. But anyway, Colton came up, got a hero card signed. And they chatted for a minute. We took a picture with Shane as well, and then I chatted with Shane a little bit too. And he kind of had mentioned just like, I didn't realize I was that down on horsepower. He's I got 6, they got 9. I didn't realize it was gonna be so bad. Um, so that was fun. And then Bobby won, so we went over and chatted with Bobby, and Colton asked if he could take a picture with him. Bobby's like, I don't know, can you? And so and we chatted with him for a minute. And so overall, just kind of a cool experience. The kiddo got a chance to, chat with some drivers he's seen on TV. We saw some of these guys at the Dome and stuff too. So it's just kind of cool for him to get a little bit closer to something that I care about a lot too. So, but anyway, Carter, with that, I will toss it to you.
I was gonna
Or
do
you.
Marshalltown in October, but I decided to change it. Um, so I don't remember, I think it was June, me and Ryan went to Benton County Speedway, which is where we were supposed to go when we ended up at Ogilvy. I think I texted Ryan like the middle of the week, "Hey, do you want to go to Vinton, Iowa on Sunday and watch a race?" And he was like, "Yeah, sure, as long as I'm home by whatever time on Monday for work." And I was like, "All right." And we leave, or that night before, weather looks good, whatever. The morning of, pretty much the whole drive there until about 2 hours away, weather looks fine. And then we're like 2 hours away, and there's like a small chance of rain, and we're not really, we're like a little worried, but not really. And then we get there, and all of a sudden we look at the weather, and it's like, you're kidding. Like it's supposed to start like storming here, and it was completely clear like all week, even during the day. And then all of a sudden, just random rain came, and we drove 5 hours from like pretty much Green Bay, Wisconsin to Iowa. And I always wanted to go there. There's been two prior attempts to go there, and they both got rained out. Thankfully, before I left the house, or no, actually, the first time we were in the parking lot, they got rained out. And then we were down there for a trip though, so like we still had multiple other days, but it still sucked. And then obviously
Yeah,
we went to Ogilvy, they rained out. But we get there, and
yeah.
they got majority of the race in. They got all the heats in, and I can't remember if they had any B mains. And then they got all the features but two in, and they had over 100 cars, and they got this in. It was like less than 2 hours. They had like all the heats and four of the six features done. And at the time, it was a very unfortunate situation. But looking back on it, it's kind of funny that, of course, there's no rain, and then we get there, and all of a
Yeah.
sudden it starts pouring. And I remember in the hobby stock feature, they uh they were pretty much racing like in the rain at that point. Like they were slipping and sliding around. I think they were just trying to get to like halfway point at least
Oh,
to
make it
count
official.
it as a race. Yeah, but I don't remember who won anything that night, but they had 116 cars, by the way. They started at 5:49 and they got rained out at 7:25. So I don't know what the math is on that, but how
Oh
many
man.
minutes that is, but it was like less than 2 hours that they got
Yeah, they were
heats
cooking.
heats and features in, and they started a bit late, which was they could have used the extra time, but it was like a
Yeah.
not a memorial, but it was for someone who passed away, and that's what part of it took so long.
Okay.
But yeah, they had 116 cards and almost got the whole thing in. But I just thought that was kind of funny, and I probably won't forget that. There's been a few times me and Ryan have went to a track to ultimately get rained out when the weather looked completely fine when we left, of course. But yeah, I'll remember that one for a while. So I figured
Yeah.
even though it was an unfortunate ending, it's probably one of my favorite
Yeah.
moments of this year, I guess.
I
Yeah. I
remember
mean,
that
in some
too
ways,
because he was you were asking Brad and I all week about weather and if it was gonna rain or not. And
I
I
think
remember he kept asking and kept asking, and
I
I don't
think I
remember what
I
he said,
think that was
but
the first Vinton race. I think that was the first one because the one me and Ryan went to, there was no rain at all, like all week and leading up to it. But the first one when I went to Ogilvy was the one I think I was asking you guys about.
You were
Is that
definitely asking about that one,
I
but
think you've asked a couple.
I
yeah,
asked about Makokata too early in the year for the Nippy 50. I
yeah.
remember I asked Brad about.
I was gonna say Josh knows something about getting rained out when he pulls into a parking lot too.
Yeah,
Did you get rained out at like
I'm
a Mason City
Hamilton,
or something? Hamilton for
Hamilton
USMTS?
County. Yeah, Hamilton County for USMTS. Yeah, I mean, we were checking kind of the whole way down. Nothing. Props to USMTS social media on that. They're with it on it. But anyway, so we get, yeah. Hey, that's thanks to Brad, by the way.
Yeah, it
That
is.
I sent it to you, but Brad's the one that made sure you got it. So
Brad
props to
is the
Brad on that one.
underground hero of Dirt Info.
Yeah. Yeah. We're gonna have to find a way to get him and Ryan on here together or something. I don't know, just give them they got a lot. They got good stories too. They got probably better stories than us, um but anyway, yeah, I got rained out at Hamco. So I made the best of it and stopped at the casino on the way back and like blew through $200 that I was gonna spend on merch and then went home. So it is what it is.
I don't want to make it go too
I'm in
long,
Joe's.
but speaking of getting rained out, this was a few years ago. I went to Dodge County Fairgrounds, where it's a half mile in Beaver Dam, and IRA was running there. And I knew the weather looked bad, and this is 2 hours away. I get there, get out of my car, and I'm walking to the entrance, and I hear over the speakers, like, we're rained out, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, shit. And then it's like, well, where else can I go? And I looked for Gravity Park Speedway in Chilton, which was like an hour north. They were under rain delay, and I kind of go near it on the way home. So I was like, all right, I'll go there now. So I drove there, and I get in the stands, and I watch them pack the track for like an hour. And then I watch them attempt to run a heat race, realize this is not going to happen, and then they rained out, and then I was like, well, now I'm out of options. So I spent like 6 hours just trying to go to any race and got rained out at two. So, but we can go to Julian now.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I'll throw in my little rain out experience before I jump into mine, which is also rain related, ironically. But my first ever Super Dirt Car Series race, I think it was 2009 at Lernerville. It was a drizzle all the way up. It was a weekday race. Pulled in, saw the heat races. After the heat races, in a drizzle, rain out. They announced that they're going to come back and finish the program at the Steel City Stampede that year. So I'm like, this is awesome. Super Dirt Car Series, Brett Hearn's still racing, you got Matt Shepard on the come up and everything like that. No, they canceled that on Super Dirt Week at the mile to be the finale, I believe. And Super Dirt Car Series never went back to Lernerville after that. So, but yeah, so
technically they could still restart the race and finish it.
technically,
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to go back to Lernerville.
Anyway.
But yeah, so my next race, it's actually this was actually the race I went to after Florence, March 23rd. It was East Lincoln Motor Speedway in Lincolnton, North Carolina, which is actually where Carson Ferguson is from, around those parts. But this is a track that I had always wanted to go to. My family's thinking about moving down to the Charlotte area at one point when I was a kid. And I looked up the tracks down there and I saw East Lincoln. It's this tiny little paperclip bull ring. I mean, it's kind of like, I would say probably the size of like Macon or Kankakee or something like that. It's very small. And I'd always thought it was cool just because it was small. And I remember I flew to Charlotte one time and we actually flew over the track. And I was like, that's East Lincoln Motor Speedway. And I was like, I want to go there. And so everything had rained out this weekend in March. And I was like, I want to go racing somewhere. And East Lincoln was the only track in the area that was close to me that was still racing. I was like, screw it. I'm driving up there. It's only, I think it was like hour and 45 minutes or something like that. So I drove up, pulled in. Everything was muddy as hell. But I mean, it's red, southern kind of style red clay. So it sticks to your shoes and sticks to the car. But the track, I mean, track was kind of a mess, to be honest, but I mean, they did the best they could. Didn't get a ton of cars. I think they probably had like 6 or 7 divisions and probably about 50 or 60 cars, something like that. The big thing that night, they were running they're doing a summer shootout meanwhile, it was March, summer shootout, and they had a Crown Vics. I think they were doing like twin 20 lap or twin 15 lap features or something like that. So that was kind of like the main event of the evening. And they had the Sharp Mini late models, which are actually a lot quicker than I expected. And then they also had LS sprints, which I'm guessing were like 604 crate wing sprint cars. I don't think there was maybe 305s. I don't know. I'm not real sure.
We're not
But they had, like,
technically inclined. We don't pretend to be.
No.
they had 3, I think, or maybe it was 2, and then a third one pulled in late, and he was actually fast but kept spinning. And so that was, yeah. I mean, it wasn't great racing or anything like that, but it was definitely a track that I always want to get to. And actually, I just remember the most memorable part of it, the worst national anthem I've ever heard at a track. And
Supposed to be something positive, Julian.
I was like, I want to be positive, and I wouldn't bring this up, but this was everybody at the track, including the announcer, and this supposed to be some guy from a local rock group or something they were promoting, and he had a rendition of the national anthem, and the crowd, somebody turned and yelled up, "At least you tried," and then the announcer came over after. He said that was a very unique rendition of the national anthem. So I will always remember that, but I don't think I'll ever get back to East Lincoln again. But that was a track that I always wanted to take off. You know, I'm kind of a bit of a track chaser, not as much as some, but you know, it's one I had to take off, and I'm happy I got to go there.
Yeah,
and I'll pass it up to you, unless you have a question.
No, I was just going to say I actually had an interesting national anthem experience at Ogilvy this year too. And I'm showing my age. I can't recall if someone was singing or if it's the audio recording. I don't remember. Sort of irrelevant to the story, but either way, audio had cut out midway through the song. And the crowd just kind of in unison starts up and starts singing it. And it's important that that song gets sung to the completion, because at Ogilvy, like Carter kind of knows, they have this big boom. So when at the conclusion of the national anthem, they hit the boom. So when it cut out, the little tyke that was down by the booms looking around like, what the heck am I supposed to do? And so when everyone jumped in and started singing, it gave him that cue to go ahead and put off the boom. So that was just actually really cool. It was just a cool moment where everyone just jumped in and did the right thing.
That's far more positive than my experience.
There we go. I had to turn it around somehow.
I wouldn't have brought it up, but I just thought like everything that happened with the announcer and the crowd all very confused. I thought it was fun. So,
yeah.
Sorry for bringing a downer to this episode.
No worries. We turned it back up, so let's leave it on an up note.
You're gonna finish it with a Kyle Strickler story.
No. Funny story about that. No, I'm not. So my last one is actually kind of a dorky one. I'll be showing my age a little bit for this one, I think. If the viewers haven't picked up, we're all approximately about a decade apart from each other, and I'm the old war horse of the group, if you will. So anyway, my last one is I think it was the border battle. Carter, was it the border battle? I think that was the race.
Yeah.
Yeah, at Superior. Yep. So anyway, the border battle at Superior. So it was a Sunday night. And I've mentioned her like 6 times, but I have like the most awesome significant other in the world, Sherry Olgal. Like, she's amazing. And so it's Sunday night, technically it's Sunday day, but anyway, I tell her, I'm like, hey, Carter's up in Gondik, and we love Gondik. It's a 2-hour drive from us, but it's one of our faves. And so Sherry, being just amazing, is just down. She's like, yeah, I'll go. I believe we asked the boys if they wanted to go. They said no. They're 15 and 13. Like, if you're going to say no to everything, that doesn't mean I'm going to say no to everything. So anyway, they said no. And so Sherry and I went, and we headed up there, and it was the border battle. I think they had late models going, and they had
Midwest
for
mods.
10 Midwest mods, and I think the mods were for 10K, if I recall correctly. But anyway, what made it kind of special to me is Carter was actually at that race, as you can tell by him filling in some of the details. But Carter was at that race, and he was working. So Carter also does camera work. Um, I mean, it's the border battle. They're gonna figure it out. He does camera work for Dirt
Yeah,
Race
you can say.
Central.
No, I don't care
Yeah,
if you
yeah,
say.
yeah. Okay, I don't, we haven't been, anyway. There's a lot of experience here. We'd rather just be ourselves than throw around credentials. But anyway, um, but yeah, so you were down there working turns 1 and 2, and it was kind of like one of those proud moments of just like, I don't know. I enjoyed watching you be on the grind. And I know that sounds super weird, but I was. I was just proud. Sherry and I were there. We were all being nerdy and goofy, like, oh, he's down there. Oh, look at him go. And it was just, we were being our old selves, but we were proud. And so, um, yeah, it was special to me for that. So, um, yeah,
Who won the mod
that's my
race?
last one.
Shane Zabrowski won.
Shane Sabraski won the mod race on a last lap pass of Brandon Kopp, who I think led the other 49 laps.
I remember this
So
now, actually.
yeah,
Because Zabrowski started like
yeah,
16th or something. He had to run a B main. Because I didn't realize
yeah, he
till
did.
that night when I was like in the hotel, I like looked at the results. I was like, oh wow, I forgot he was in a B main.
Yeah,
I remember watching it. I remember not watch it. I watched it. Followed it on my race pass. I think I remember I saw Sabraski came way through the field. It was kind of crazy or something like that.
yeah. And as I've said before with Sherry, of course, I had real-time updates. Like I could be watching any part of the racetrack and I'll know if Shane is doing good because I'll be getting he's passing another car. So like, same if the kiddos are there, especially Colton, right? Colton will watch Shane a lot too. So that's kind of neat.
Where
He's definitely a
Brandon's
fan.
not though.
Yeah, well, it was funny because I had my cop shirt on and Sherry had her Sabraski shirt on. And so um
He,
we
he's been
well
on
we
the
actually
wrong end of some higher profile
hmm
last lap mishap losses.
oh it's such a tough pill to swallow. I mean, the coach in me just says though, like, it takes a lot to even be there in those big moments, and if you have enough of those failures, you're gonna have a shitload more successes, right? Like that's just like, part of learning how to win those is learning how to take it on the chin, unfortunately. And it's
He
not like
still
he's the youngest guy in the world, but all the same,
wins a lot, dude.
he does. Oh, he wins a ton, but I mean, some of those higher profile losses gotta sting, and
He has a really
props to
cool
him
looking
for
my race
always,
pass profile with his aviators on and the hair all slicked
yeah,
back.
yeah. I interact a lot with them on social. They have a nice cheery mood about them, which obviously strikes me.
You guessed for the show,
So
Brandon Kopp.
Julian, Julian at dirtinfo.com.
Oh, funny story about that Gondik race. The sweatshirt you're wearing, Josh. When I was in the
Uh,
infield, one of the photographers happened to be the guy that designed the sweatshirt that you're currently wearing. So
no way.
I just the guy that it's like Hooker Photos or something like that. He used to do photos at 141 and nearby tracks. I think he moved out in Wissota area, but he used to be like
Okay.
like the weekly photographer at 141. So that's how like Benji and stuff knows him. But yeah, thought it was just kind of funny. So it was at that race, and you happen to be wearing the sweatshirt. But
Yeah.
D
yes,
Josh, he left IMCA for Wissota.
Yeah. Came to the light side. I have no, is it called the light side in Star Wars? I've never seen him.
the dark side.
The dark
Well,
side,
no.
bad side.
Yeah,
You've
he
never seen
left the
Star
dark
Wars?
side.
No, I've seen
He
Star Wars.
left
I just
the
didn't get
dark
what he
side.
was trying to say. I don't know what the other side is called.
Well, there's like a bunch of different sides, though. I tried to figure this out like 6 years ago, and I had it explained to me, and I still couldn't figure it out. But the dark side's bad, so
Yeah, and so he left that. So
yeah,
what
he
is
left
it that he came to?
Not the good side.
the rebels.
Um, all right, I'll go to my last one. Mine was at Fairbury for their Falls Frenzy they have in October. And the reason it was probably one of my favorite races I went to this year is I brought a friend along, not Ryan, but just a friend that lives in Luxembourg that I've known for that goes to Luxembourg all the time for races and stuff. and he doesn't travel much for racing. Like he'll go to like 141 and Seymour or something like that. And then he went to Mississippi Thunder for the big deal, but like outside of that, like he doesn't go to a ton of races all the time, just kind of stays local. So he hasn't experienced a bunch of other tracks. And so I took him to Fairbury. And this is the second time now where I brought a new person there. And before qualifying even started, they're like, dude, I need to come back here. Like this is awesome. And I don't think I even started hot laps at this point. I brought another friend the year before and he said it in hot laps, but my friend Kyle said it before they even did hot laps. He's like, this is awesome. And we were there for both days. And then I think he bought like 9 t-shirts. It's probably a good thing he doesn't go to a lot of races because if he goes to like all these big events, he'd probably spend all his money on it. Yeah, I don't even remember. I know Shepard was there. There was a few outlaw guys that were there, so that was cool. But then yeah, the second day it was a 2-day show, and the second day we had so we were gonna drive back home after the Saturday show instead of just staying and then leaving early Sunday. I think we left early because the Vikings were playing, honestly, Sunday morning. I think that's or Sunday afternoon. I think that's why we left Saturday night. But Saturday we got a pit pass because we had to check out of our hotel and had like 4 hours to kill. And I remember we walked around for a while, and then he wanted a Shannon Babb shirt that like they just made, and he didn't have a merch stand, so we went over there and talked with Shannon Babb a little bit. Well, he did. I didn't really say much, but talked to him, and then we just watched racing. But yeah, I always like seeing one of my friends like because Fairbury's my favorite track. So when other people see it and enjoy it as much as I do, it's always nice to see that they realize how crazy it is compared to what we got back home. It's like we got stuff that small, but it doesn't race anything like that.
And
Yeah,
everyone should know that we're rearranging the time of this recording so Carter can watch his Vikings play.
Yeah,
Just
true.
like he's
we
gonna
have
rearrange his trip so he can watch the Vikings
we have
play.
16 minutes to finish this up, by the way.
Yeah. And by the I'm the one in Minnesota. I'm the one that's the lifelong Minnesota fan. And I'm like, it's not that big of a deal. And
No,
Carter's like, no, we have to watch it.
only thing that'll
Um,
make me skip a race is a Vikings game. So
see, and we're showing our age again because I've just had so many heartbreaks, I just can't even anymore.
I mean, I haven't had as much
But
as you, but I've had a bunch too. But I just keep going back.
I've got twice as many, buddy. That's all I can say. Just
I've
by a
just lost
factor of
interest
time.
in football
But
lately, but I went through the Steelers' very bad era when I was a kid with Cordell Stewart and Tommy Maddox, who
oh yeah,
thankfully kind of, and then Ben came in, and it was happy times.
yeah. And
Not
it's
so
been
much.
a pretty decent cruise
Now
since.
we're in average
But
times.
yeah. Took one of Minnesota's coaches, but I could go on and on and on. Mike Tomlin would coach under Mike Tice, went and coached the Steelers, won a Super Bowl. Mike Tice was fired the next year. There's so many examples. But anyway, I digress. One last thing I was going to add to your story, Carter, is when Sherry heard you were in Fairbury, she said, "I want to go." Just knowing you were there, she was jealous. So,
This
there's
year,
that.
this year
But thanks.
I won't even go in October. It's Luxembourg's
No.
fall specials the same weekend, so I'll probably stay back. But I do plan on going in August, late August. So
Uh,
got to make it there at least once a year. All right, Julian, you
right
can go ahead.
All right, I'm gonna finish this off with another non-dirt race, and I'm gonna go drag racing. So I went to the NHRA Four Wide Nationals at Charlotte back in, let's see, it was April. Yeah, April 27th actually. And this was my second time to Charlotte. First time four wide there. I'd previously been to four wide events at Vegas. I don't really care for the four wide drag racing. I get it. I'm not gonna go too much on that, but I had a really good time actually. It was drag racing is really cool. Obviously, every ticket's pit pass, so you can walk through the pits, meet all the drivers. It was kind of like being a kid again. I was like, you know what? I was like, I'm gonna have fun. I'm just gonna go up to drivers, get some hero cards signed, take some pictures. Um, I've been a John Force fan since I was a kid, and I had gotten my mom had gotten autographs for me at races before, but I'd never met John Force, and I finally met John Force. And this is Racer 2
Nice.
just report his big crash, which I don't know if it's going to be a career ender, but I mean, it's kind of seems like it's trending that way. And so that was really cool. I got to meet John Force for the first time, and then we went down to one of the smaller budget top fuel teams, Mike Booker. Small trailer, not enough money to even or parts to even run all the qualifying sessions, but he's still out there trying to do it. He invited us back into his pit area to look at the car and take pictures, and gave us like wristbands and everything like that. So that was really cool. Met a couple other drivers, Chad Green, funny car driver. He used to be a pro mod driver, and I was wearing a pro mod shirt, and he looked at my shirt, he's like, hell yeah. So that was really cool. But yeah, it was a cool event. I think there was actually a track. Bob Casca actually ran the track record in funny car at that event. I think it was like 338 miles an hour or something like that. So that was pretty cool to see another track record, because I had seen one in the fall when I went there too. Yeah, that was an awesome time. That was one of my best experiences of the year. I don't know if I'm going to get to an NHRA race this year. I think I've been probably the past 3 or 4 years in a row. So that's a lot of fun. I mean, if you haven't been to an NHRA event, it's very welcoming and great for kids and everything, because you go right up to the drivers, and great experience.
Heck yeah. Yeah. I'm a big fan of those. I'm a kid at heart, so I enjoy it just as much as them sometimes.
I was like, your kids might enjoy it, Josh. You go up
Yeah.
to Brainerd. I mean, it's drag racing it's completely different when you watch it on TV and in person.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna test out Monster Jam. Oh, they don't know that it's for Christmas.
I was a big Monster Jam fan growing up.
Shh, it's for Christmas. Shh. I blurted that and I forgot that it's not common knowledge. Anyway, moving on. Carter, it's time for
One for the road. I don't really have much for this, but I saw that the Dirt Kings, whose shirt I'm wearing right now, they released their schedule. It's a late model series in pretty much just Wisconsin. They used to travel a little bit, but this year um, they changed their schedule. In the past, they would go to like Iowa and like Northern Illinois, and drivers just weren't following it. It just I don't know. I mean, it's not like a crazy pain series or anything, and I think they had like 3 guys follow the whole thing last year. And this year they're keeping it pretty much all Eastern Wisconsin, besides one weekend trip to Mississippi Thunder, which I know a lot of drivers like that track, so I don't think they're too upset about one trip out west. But I saw they're keeping it in Eastern Wisconsin, so hopefully this year they can get, I don't know, 6 or 7 guys at least to follow the whole thing. Maybe someone will. I like Nick Amvelink, but maybe someone can challenge him this year. I think Nick has won it every year but one, and I think the one year he didn't win it, he didn't follow every race. So,
okay.
but
Yeah.
we'll pass it over to
We were
Josh
just
now,
arguing
or
about him last week. Yeah, I'll go
yeah,
next. But
because you were
we were
hating on
just
him.
arguing. I wasn't hating on. To be fair, I will intentionally antagonize. I mean, we do the whole regional humor thing just with racers. So
You
I
didn't you
know as
didn't
a guy from
realize
your neck of the
didn't
woods.
realize he was a former Cedar Lake feature winner multiple times. I had to correct you on that.
Multiple times. Yeah. My Schwano or bust argument lost steam there, but it was all in good fun in the first place. But anyway, I was just gonna make a mention of oddly enough, I guess, sort of the Wasota Facebook social media team. I was just going to give a nod. They were out at PRI and they were kind of putting the hustle on. So JC Norgard was hosting interviews with Wasota folks that were out there and Wasota adjacent folks that were out there, and they just kind of been pumping out video all week, trying to bring a Wasota spin to the PRI show. So I appreciate that, and I think the more um, the more that organizations do that, I think the better it is for them. I think they can have a bigger brand that way. So I don't know. I just thought it was cool. Enjoy. I always appreciate it. It kills time at work, if nothing else. So,
Yeah, I guess I'll go here finally. So I'm gonna go with one maybe with Tom Harris. They unveiled his chili pool car for this year. If you don't know who Tom Harris is, he's a UK F1 stock
Stock
car
car
racer.
racer.
And so he comes over and he runs some USAC stuff.
Uh,
He's friends with Robert Ballou, and but he also runs a midget. And so they unveiled his car, and it's very British. It has the Union Jack flag, basically the whole car. And we might put a link or something or a picture of it. But it's pretty cool looking car.
Yeah.
And I was talking to my friend Chris A. He goes by on Twitter. He's a track and race chaser over in England. And he said, this is not something you'd ever see in England with the Union Jack on the car, but it kind of plays to the U.S. crowd. And so, I hope the
Yeah.
best for Tom Harris. He just won the Brisca F1 championship again this past season. And I've been told he's pretty much untouchable over there. So I'd like to see him do well. I'd like to see a little bit more guys come over, and maybe some of our guys like Team Eds went over and raced for Tom Harris over there. So
Oh,
we kind of
nice.
more blending of that. And, maybe Team
Yeah.
Ez will have some content on his YouTube channel with Tom Harris again.
Maybe. I remember Tom Harris has definitely come over a year or two recently in the summer. I feel, if nothing else from Dirt Draft, I recognize the name kind of thing, but
Yeah,
I feel like he's done some racing with USAC and stuff. So yeah.
yeah. He's not when he ran Eastern Storm last year, and maybe a few more races.
Okay. There we go. Right on. Love the crossover. But well, with that, I think we're gonna hit the road, hence the name of the segment, One for the Road. Anyway, we're gonna go ahead and take next week off. So programming note, Ryan and Brad, we won't be here next week. Otherwise, again, very much appreciate you spending your time with us. We look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks. Racing's picking up, so we'll probably have more racing centric content. So definitely looking forward to that. And otherwise, again, like, subscribe, share, all that super helps us. You can find us on Spotify, YouTube, as well as Facebook. Much appreciate, and have a good day.